Hey everybody, it's Mr. Cognetti from Citizenship Academy, and today we're going to be doing lesson 28 today. Yesterday and a couple days previous, we've been working on addition sentences with two-digit numbers in them, where the ones place in the two-digit numbers have added up to 10 or more. And even before that, we worked on addition equations where the ones places didn't even add up to 10. Today, we're going to be working with a little bit of both. So we have to pay attention to whether the numbers are going to add up to more than 10 or not. And if they do, then we'll have to make sure we add that extra 10 into the tens place. But before we get into that, I want to warm up with our application problem. So make sure you have something to write on and something to write with. If you don't, pause your video and go grab that quick, and then come on back and hit play. All right, I'm going to read the problem a couple times. I'll start by reading it out once. Then we're going to talk about what information the problem tells us so that we know what we're looking for. So, put your thinking caps on. Here we go. It says, Anton had some crayons in his desk. His teacher gave him 2 more crayons. When he counted all his crayons, he had 16 crayons. How many crayons did Anton have in his desk originally? So, how many did he start out with? So, it started off by saying he had some crayons in his desk. Do we know how many crayons are in his desk? We don't. It says he has some. It didn't say he had 5. It didn't say he had 6. It said he had some. We don't know exactly how many. It says his teacher gave him 2 crayons. And once his teacher gave him those 2 crayons, he counted all the crayons he had, and he had 16. So we want to figure out how many crayons he had before his teacher gave him those 2 crayons. So I'm going to do this with a number bond. Or sorry, a tape diagram. Actually, no, let's do a number bond. We could use any of these to solve it, but today I want to use a number bond. I'm going to write this over here. So go ahead, draw your number bond out. Now, I want you to think about what is the whole, what is the total amount of crayons he had or has at the end of this word problem. I'm going to read it again. That's what I want you to think about. What is the whole or total amount of crayons he has? Anton has some crayons in his desk. His teacher gave him 2 more. When he counted all of his crayons, he had 16 crayons. How many crayons did Anton have in his desk originally? So how many crayons do you think he had all together? I think 16. It said once he counted all of his crayons, he had 16. So that must be our total. So that goes in our whole section of our number bond. So that's what he had all together. Now, how many crayons did his teacher give him? 2 crayons. His teacher gave him 2. It says it right in the number or in the word problem for us. So that's another one of our parts. Because he had some amount of crayons before he was given any, shown right here by our blank circle, or our blank part in our number bond. And then he was given 2 from his teacher. So we have the amount of crayons he started out with, plus the 2 crayons he got, and we end with 16. So we're trying to figure out this other part. Now, how can we figure out that other part? There's a couple different ways. Can you think of them? What we've been doing for a while is we've been, okay, so part plus part equals whole, so 2 plus something equals 16. So if I write that out, 2 plus something that we don't know equals 16. So we could count up from 2 all the way to 16. That's a lot of numbers though. We could do that, but that's a lot of numbers that we're going to have to count because 2 isn't super close to 16. So, but I know that part plus part equals whole, and I also know that whole minus a part will give us our other part. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set it up like this, going around in the circle. 16 minus 2 equals something, and that's our missing part. So 16 minus 2 equals, so let's try and figure out what 16 minus 2 is. We're going to have to count backwards. What number are we going to start with? We're going to start with 16. It's the first in our number sentence. And we're going to count backwards 2. So let's do that with me. Let's put 16 in our head, then we're going to count backwards. So what's the number right before 16? 15. What's the number right before 15? 14. So we went from 16 to 15 to 14. So we counted back 2 numbers, and I landed on 14. So I think that's my answer. So I think that's what goes in my other spot of my number bond. But let's double check. If we had 2 plus 14, or 14 plus 2, would we get 16? Let's count. Let's put 14 in our head and count 2 more. 14, 15, 16. There we go. I think I'm right. So let's plug this number into the word problem to double check our answer. It said Anton had some crayons in his desk. Right now we think he had 14 crayons. So if he had 14 crayons in his desk, then his teacher gave him 2 more. Here's the 2 that he gave, so we add that on to the 14. And then it says he had 16 crayons in all. So is that what our number sentence says here? He had 14, we added 2, and we got 16. I think we got it right. Great job. Awesome work. I think we're all warmed up. And now we can go on to the main lesson. So, exit out of this video, head on over